and welcome to my channel. My name's Lyndon. Thank you so much for coming. In this video, I want to change everything if I possibly can. I want to teach the world, you, how to transcribe tunes. And what that means is to be able to listen to any song and to be able to play it on your saxophone pretty much straight away. Now, sometimes when I have a private lesson, a client will come round and they'll say, "Oh, I've always wanted to be able to play this song." So we'll have a look on YouTube, I'll listen to it for a moment, and because of years of experience, I'll pick up the saxophone and start playing it immediately. And the client will say to me, what kind of magic is that? You know, how on earth do you do that? That is so amazing. I would love to be able to do that. And the thing is that it's not magic, it's just practice, and there is a formula to how to work out a song that you can just listen to and then be able to play the melody. There is a formula that will help you learn how to do that, and I want to share that formula with you now. Now look, there's lots of approaches to anything in life, including music, so this is definitely not the only approach. There's lots of approaches that you could take, but this is the one that I use, and I use it with my clients. And the reason that I use it with my clients is that it works. It works with old people and young people and experienced people and not so experienced people. Everybody gets this. Before I dive into the secret of transcriptions, I want to say my thank yous. Thank you so much to you for subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, sending me positive comments, buying me coffee, or sending tips on PayPal. You can't believe how much I appreciate it and what impact it has on our human lives. You know, I mean, it really does. You know, when somebody says something really positive or sends us a tip or something, both my wife and I literally dance around the house. It's really cool. So thank you so much, and please subscribe to my channel and like the videos and share them with other people, so that if you think they're beneficial, so that other people can get the benefit too. Okay, so transcribing. Few things that I would like to say about transcribing. Number one, right? Pick your opponent. Especially if you've never done this before, there's a few criteria that I want you to have for selecting the tune that you'd like to transcribe. Number one, make it a fairly straightforward tune. Don't pick something super complicated. Don't be trying to transcribe John Coltrane solos or Charlie Parker solos just yet. Not yet. You could maybe do that once you've got a little bit more experience. But for the time being, just keep it quite straightforward, a nice straightforward melody. Number two, pick a melody that you know how it goes. You know how the tune goes in your head, and you could sing along with it. If you don't know really the melody, you're not very familiar, that's going to make it considerably harder. Again, you can still do it once you've got a bit of experience, but for your first kind of challenge, pick something that is straightforward and something that you know. And number three, pick something that you like, because you're going to be spending quite a bit of time with this song. So if you really don't like the song, then that's going to be a really unpleasant experience for you. And we want to make this as pleasant an experience as we possibly can. So with those three factors in mind, let's have a look at a really nice straightforward song and work out how to transcribe it. So the song that I'm going to select is Adele singing "Make You Feel My Love." And now I have to be really careful how I do this, because with YouTube, if I play copyrighted material for very long, I'll get a copyright strike, and I really don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to be playing short snippets. So let's have a listen to the first few seconds. And as you see here, I have got all my 12 major scales written down. Now I'm going to take a photograph of this and put it at the end of the video so that you can take a screenshot. It's not a free download, unfortunately, although some of my videos have got free downloads, but this is just a screenshot, if that's okay. So I've got all of my 12 major scales written out here, because the first thing that I need to do is to work out what key I'm in. Once once I've got the key, then that kind of unlocks all of the notes that I'm going to need for this song. And that's another reason not to pick something too complex, like a kind of complex jazz tune, because jazz tunes might change key quite a lot within itself, and then that's going to be a little bit more challenging to follow, whereas something like Adele's Make You Feel My Love is, I know that it stays in the same key all the way through the tune, more or less. It's going to stay in the same kind of territory. So let's have a listen and I'll show you what I mean. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just listen for any note. So have a listen. Now that is my first clue. Did you hear that? Da. Have a listen again. Da. Now if I can sing that note, that's going to be really, really useful. Da, because I can kind of hang on to it and try and find it on my saxophone. So I need da, and I'm going to play any note on my saxophone. I played a B, and the note that I need is da. So my B was higher, so I'm going to come down a bit. I've gone down to an A, and I need da. Got it, found the note. That's the first thing that I'm going to do. And now I'm going to show you something really amazing, because transcribing, I want you to think of transcribing a tune like playing hangman. Did you ever play hangman when you were a kid? You're trying to guess a word, and so you say, has it got an E in it? Or has it got an I in it? And if it has, you keep that, you write it down, right? I've got one of the letters, and you keep it. And then if it's got an I in it, you think, well, maybe it's got an N and a G, because that's the way that language works. So it's got common letters in it. So we know that we have found a G. Now check this out, right? It could be the key of C major, because C major's got a G in it, and it definitely could be the key of G major, and it could be also the key of D major, but it can't be. So it could be one of these three, but it's not going to be A, and it's not going to be E, and it's not going to be B, because those scales, those keys, don't have a G natural in it. Yes, right. It could be F because it's got a G, and it could be B flat, and it could be E flat, but it could be A flat, but it could not be D flat, and it could not be F sharp. So isn't that amazing? Just by identifying one note, where so far we're like 1 or 2 seconds into the tune, and we've already discounted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 12 scales. It can't be in those keys. So I'm going to carry on and do the same thing. So did you hear that? Da, 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 da. So that's another note that I've identified, like my musical hangman. And if the first note is G, and that other note, ba, da, well, that sounds like it's a bit lower than the G. So if I go a semitone lower than G, and try that, or let's try a tone. So if I go a tone lower, well, that doesn't sound right. So that I've gone down too far. So let's try a semitone. And that sounds the same. Now I'm going to check my work. Have a listen. Da, da, da. So we've got now an F sharp, and we know that there's an F sharp in there. Let's go back to our scales. So it could not now be in the key of C, because C doesn't have an F sharp in it. It could be the key of G, and it could be the key of D. It couldn't have been any of these anyway, and it could not now be F, and it could not now be B flat, and it can't be E flat, because they haven't got an F, and they haven't got an F sharp and a G in them. They've only got Fs and Gs in them. And look, it can't be A flat, because, and it was never that one. So all of these are now ruled out, and all of these are ruled out, and this one's ruled out. I've narrowed it down to 2 possible keys. It could possibly be in the key of G, or it could possibly be in the key of D. Now there's only 1 note difference between these 2 scales, so I'm going to see if a C sharp sounds nice against this against this tune, or if a C sounds nicer. One of them will clash and one of them will fit. Let's try it out. So if I play the scale of G, Let's try the scale of D first. Now I'm going to try G. Let's try G major now. And can you see how beautifully G fits? The C sharp of the D major scale. When the rain is... It just doesn't fit. It doesn't sound very nice against the rest of the track. So it's not D, and we are now in the key of G. We know what the key it's in. Get in. Get in. Right, so I'm going to get another sheet. This is so cool. I'm going to write the name of the song at the top. Make you feel my love. And we know that that first note, well, we don't know yet, so let's have a listen. Winning your fate. So let's have a listen. When the rain. When the rain. So we know that we are in the key of G, so I'll write that down at the bottom. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. And we know that the root, the third, the fifth, and the seventh, and possibly the ninth are really, really important notes. So it's not guaranteed, but the chances of Adele or any singer in the melody starting on one of the chord tones is super high. It's not guaranteed, but it's likely, it's super high chance that she's starting on one of those notes. So with every phrase that she makes, I don't have to think, oh, it could be one of any 7 notes. Probably not. It's probably either the root, the third, the fifth, the seventh. Not guaranteed, but likely. So she sings, when the rain is falling. So I need to find that first note, that da da da. And it is in fact a D with the octave key. And she goes, when the rain is. And then, so now I've got that first note. The melody has only got 2 possible directions that it can go. It can either go up or it can go down. It's not 3-dimensional. It's either going to ascend or descend. So where does that go? When the rain is falling. Well, it sounds like it's descending. And if it's descending by small amounts, it's highly likely, not guaranteed, but highly likely to be going down the scale. And if it's descending or ascending in bigger jumps, it's highly likely, not guaranteed, but likely that it's going up using the chord tones. So in this case, she starts on a D, and she goes down the scale. Let me write that down so that I've captured that first bit. So look, it's D, 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 and then down the scale. When the rain is falling. And these Ds have got the octave key on. Yeah, so that's my first phrase written out. So, blowing in your face. Now here's another thing. Adele just sang, when the rain is falling in your face. And she's moving around all over the place with her voice because she's Adele and she's wonderful and it sounds great. Now I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make it nice and straightforward for myself, because what I'm trying to do with this transcription is I'm not trying to take a photorealistic exact picture of every single variation on a note that Adele sings. I'm trying to make an instantly recognizable pencil sketch that leaves you in no doubt what the song is, but it doesn't have to be photorealistic. I don't have to follow her every little bit. So then she goes back. Yeah, so what's that note? It's one of the chord tones and it's the D again. Now I need to find your face. So again, I'll just play a note, any note. I'm looking for da. So if I play one of these notes, let's try the F sharp. It's not that. Da. What about the D? Da. It's not that. It's not the B, and it could be the G. And what about the F sharp? Yeah, so it's low F sharp with no octave key. So with that first line, I get this. And does that sound right? Yes, it does. Absolutely fantastic. So then I'm going to listen to the next phrase. And the whole world is on your case. So I get, and the whole world is on your case. So what's that first note? Da. See if we can find it. Is it a chord tone? So is it a G? No, I need da. What about a B? No. So what about a D with the octave key? Da. Yeah. So I know that that note is a D. And the whole world. So that second note, that note world, and the whole world. Is it higher or lower than the D? Well, da 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 da. It's definitely lower, right? So I'm looking for something below D. And is it a big jump or a little jump? Well, it doesn't sound like a huge jump. Let's try a C. Yep, that sounds exactly right. And the whole world. Then it goes, is on. So you're on the C. You're going to go a step lower. Or a note lower, rather. A step down the scale. And then it lands on your face. So again, that could be a chord tone. So let's try an F sharp. Da. No, definitely not there. D. No, I need da. And B. No, it's not. What about the G? Yeah, so. Yeah. Also, the way that I write this out is significant because it's not got to just make sense to my ear, it's got to make sense to my eyes as well. And that's why I've put the first phrase on one line and the second phrase on another line, and I'm spacing it out so that it makes sense. That's also a reason why I'm using pencil, because if I do make a mistake, I can erase it easily, whereas if I use one of these markers and I make a mistake, it's going to be a big mess with lots of scribbles out. And believe me, I make mistakes all the time. Let's listen to the next phrase. I could offer you a warm embrace. So I would take from that, I could offer you a warm embrace. So I need the note da. So let's find that. Is it a G? No. Da. It's not a B. It sounds maybe a little bit higher than a B. So let's try a C. Yes. I could offer you. So it's I could offer. So I need 4 C's. I could offer. Now where does it go from here? Does it go up or does it go down? I could offer you. Well, it's going down, isn't it? And is it going down by a big jump or a little jump? I could offer you. It's a small jump, so I'm going to try the B. Yes. And then a warm, and that doesn't sound, that sounds lower than the B. So I could offer you a. I think it's going down the scale. Let's try an A. Yep. And then a warm. That's going up again, isn't it? And it's close to the note. It's a B. And then it lands on. And that sounds like exactly the same note that we landed on up here. But let's see if we can identify that note. That's a G. So we get 2 Gs. And let's test that line. So I'm going to test this third line, see if it works. Perfect, sounds great. And then we need the next line.
To make you feel my love.
So we get da da. Well, isn't that the same note that we just landed on? Yeah, absolutely. So we get to make you. Is that higher or lower, right? So we've got G, G, U. That U is higher. And it doesn't sound like the note next to the G, so let's try the A anyway. That's not quite right. What about a B? Yeah, to make you, and then feel my love. So I get G, G, B, G, G, G. And then what happens now in the tune is that she repeats the whole thing. But again, I don't want to play it because I'll get copyrighted, as I've mentioned. And that comes to an end and she repeats. Now, the fact that she repeats makes me think that this is like one chunk or one section of the tune. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this section A. It's like the A section, and I'm going to remind myself that this happens twice. Now I'm going to think about the form of the tune. The form means the way that any sections are laid out. So at the moment we've got an A which is followed by another A. So I'm going to scroll through and find that other and listen to the other A section. Okay, so at 1:13 into the song, she has now repeated that A section twice and she goes on to another section. So here we go, let's have a listen.
I know you haven't made your mind up yet.
So I get from that, I know you haven't. So I need to find that note. So is it a G? Well, actually that sounds too low, but the pitch sounds right. So if I try that with an octave key on, yeah, so I get, I know you haven't. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excuse my horrendous singing. I know you haven't. And then where does it go? I know you haven't made your. Well, that sounds like it's coming straight down the scale. So let's try that. Yeah, absolutely, comes down the scale. I know you haven't made your mind. And all of these guys have got the octave key on. And then she lands on, I know you haven't made your mind up yet. So I need to find that. What's that note? It's probably a chord tone because she's landing. Is it a D? No. Is it a B? No. What about a G? Yeah, that sounds good. So let's try that line. Yeah, and she lands on a G. 2 Gs. I know you haven't made your mind up yet. Let's find the next line. This is so good that people are knocking on the door going, is that how you work out a tune? Is that how you transcribe? Let's have a listen.
But I would never do you wrong.
But I would never do you wrong. So I need to find da, and there's a good chance it's a chord tone, so is that a G? No. Ah, what about a B? Yes. So I know I'd never. So I know I'd never. Is that higher or lower? It's lower. Is it a big step or a little step? Sounds like a smallish step. I know I'd never. So let's try the A. Yep. And what about the next note? Da da. Yeah, perfect. So I get, I know I'd never do you wrong. Let's check it. Perfect. Let's have a listen to the next phrase.
I've known it from the moment that we met.
So that sounds to me exactly like the first phrase, but something slightly different about it. So we've definitely got... So I'm going to write that part down because that's the same. Dee da 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 do da. But then instead of going, so all of this has got the octave key on. So instead of going those last two notes, they sounded a bit different to me. Let's see if we can just scroll back ever so slightly.
From the moment that we met.
So you've got a higher note. We met. So what's that? Da. Is it a G? Yeah, but in a higher octave. Yeah, absolutely. So it's the same shape, but just with the octave key on. Let's check that line. Perfect. Let's get this last phrase.
No doubt in my mind where you belong.
Okay, I'm going to interpret that a little bit. No doubt in my mind. Da da. So I need that first note. Da. Let's try the G. No, it's da. So I need to go higher. What about a B? Yeah, perfect. So always try chord tones. So you get no, and then it goes no doubt. So is that higher or lower? Well, it's lower. Is it a lot lower, a little bit lower? I think it's a little bit lower. Let's try an A. Yeah, perfect. So, and then she goes, no doubt in my mind. So, no doubt in my mind. Then she goes, where we. So, no doubt in my mind. The next note, da, is that higher or lower? It's higher. And it's not much higher, it's just a little step. So I think it's the B again. Yeah. Where we. Now that sounds like a bigger jump to me. Da, ba. So let's try a chord tone. I'm on the B, let's try the D. Perfect. Will we? Whoops, there you go, there's my mistake, which I'm gonna now rub out because I've got an eraser. Whoops. I hope that hasn't messed up the camera angle. D with the octave key. Will we? Then no doubt in my mind where we. Then we need belong. So we're on da, and we need da. So that's quite a big jump, isn't it? So I'm on, and I need, is it a B? I need da. No, is it a G? Yeah, it sounds like a G. Da, ba. So then it goes up from there to the next note along, I think. Yeah. Cool. So that's G and A. So let's check that line. And I would call this the B section because I know that she's going to come back now to the A section. And the form, which is the way that these A's and B's are laid out, is the word that we use to describe the way that these A sections and B sections are laid out. And she's going to go back to the A section, which I would play you, but just have a listen to it yourself, because like I keep saying, I don't want to get a copyright strike. So now we've got the whole melody. Isn't that fantastic? We've worked out the whole thing. We just need to tighten up the form. And I can tell you from experience that what happens is now that there is another A section where there is a solo on a violin or a cello or something, and then the vocals comes back in on the B section and it goes to the A section for the last time, and she repeats the last line. Repeat last line of the A section. So in other words, we've listened to all of this, There is now a cello solo which goes over the A. She comes back, I know we haven't made our mind up yet, which is the B section. Then she goes back to the A section and then she repeats this line, to make you feel my love. And then she sings that again, to make you feel my love, and you're done. Now, so I've got the whole melody. Isn't that fantastic? And I'm going to put this, I'm going to take a photograph of it and I'm going to put it at the end of this video so that you can screenshot it. Now, wouldn't it be nice if we could find a backing track for this? And you can. The backing track is available on a website which you should go definitely check out. It's called Karaoke Version, and I'll probably put a link in the description, but it's karaokeversion.co.uk, and they have got a backing track for this that you can take the vocals out of and it sounds exactly the same. It's the quality is absolutely fantastic. The only other thing that I need to know is where to come in, and I can tell you that it is, I'm pretty sure it's 4 bars. So let's find the original version, right? So 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. It's 8, 4, 2. So it's an 8-bar intro. I just stopped that because I'm absolutely paranoid. 8-bar intro. Yeah, and I have actually got a backing track here which should be, hopefully, won't get such a copyright strike, so make you feel my love. Okay, so this is from Karaoke Version. Have a listen to the intro. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 1. When the rain is falling. So it's definitely an 8-bar intro. So that is how you transcribe a song. Absolutely fantastic. I really hope that that's been useful for you, and please let me know in the comments if it makes sense or if it doesn't make sense, because it's not that hard to do and you can definitely do this yourself. Okay, again, I really hope that that was useful. Thank you for all your supportive comments. Thank you for all your feedback. Thank you for your suggestions. Thank you for helping me pay my bills by sending me coffees and PayPal stuff. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.